Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Wednesday, February 28th, one day before players will take the field at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. Linebackers and defensive linemen to start the week on Thursday. Then Friday, you're going to have quarterbacks, running back, wide receivers, move through the rest of it Saturday and Sunday. We're going to get into this pre-combine mock draft here. Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson both met with the media yesterday. Doug Peterson dropping a little nugget, potentially taking back play calling duties. We'll see how that plays out over the course of this offseason. But I think some of Trent Baalke's comments were a little bit more illuminating than anything Doug Peterson had to say about the draft, right? About this offseason and how things are going to play out. We will take into account some of the things that were said yesterday when we talk about this mock draft that we're going to run here today. Baalke talked a lot about cornerbacks yesterday, said he loves this draft, and when it comes to cornerback, I think Darius Williams, out of everyone on this team, even though I love him and would love him to stay here in Jacksonville as a Jacksonville native, as a guy who played his ass off last year, I think that he is the easiest cut candidate for the Jaguars. He's over 30 years old. There's basically zero dead money when it comes to his contract if you cut him and you save $11 million. I think that he's not a perfect fit from a physical standpoint for this defense. I think they want big, long corners that can play press man, which I think he can play press. But again, I think that all these factors are kind of leading me to believe Darius Williams will probably be one of the Jaguars roster cuts. And Trent Baalke did say they have cap cutting maneuverability, right? So I think Darius Williams, unfortunately, is going to end up being one of those cuts, which means Trent Baalke is going to attack cornerback early in this draft, in my opinion. I think Josh Allen is back one way or another. He said they've been in contact. They had a meeting with his agent last night. I think Ridley is back as well. Baalke said he doesn't care if it's a second or third for Ridley. I call BS on that. I think they get him back after the start of the new league year, after it becomes a third-round pick. Cam Robinson. Sounds like he's back. Makes sense to me. I know a lot of people want to move on from Cam Robinson, save that money, and start Walker Little and Anton Harrison. I say you need three. I say you're in a championship window. I don't think keeping Cam Robinson impacts you negatively long-term from a salary cap standpoint. I think he is your best starting left tackle right now. I say keep Cam Robinson, and I think that that's what they're going to do. Trent Baalke was kind of taken aback by the idea that they would move on from him, and they've shown that they really like him. You know, that they gave him a new contract a couple years ago. They have been kind of steadfast in him being their starting left tackle. So I think that is going to be how it plays out. And then Mark Long, who is very plugged in, he tweeted yesterday that they're probably bringing back Cam and Brandon Sheriff at right guard, two veterans who are very good pass protectors, and then bringing in a vet to compete at center with Luke Fortner. If that's how it does go, which probably will, that means you're probably not taking an interior offensive lineman or tackle early in this draft, right? Baalke also talked about the strength of the interior offensive line and defensive line in this draft. So I do think they go there at some point. Obviously, Ezra Cleveland is a free agent. I think they're going to try to bring him back at left guard. But I do think the Jags are going to go interior offensive line and interior defensive line at some point in this draft. Let's go ahead and dive into it, right? If you enjoy the content, though, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. So, looking at this draft, I think Trent Baalke, like last year, is going to try to trade down if he can. He wants to look like the smartest guy in the room. There could be some players at positions that the Jaguars don't want, that other teams covet when the 17th pick rolls around. You know, if an edge rusher falls, if a Byron Murphy or a Johnny Newton falls, or a Jackson Powers Johnson, guys that the Jaguars could use, but they don't necessarily meet their length thresholds. Maybe another team wants to get aggressive and trade up. Here I have them trading 17 and 152 for 19 and 83 with the Los Angeles Rams, who want to move up for like a Leatu Latu, maybe one of these interior guys, maybe a different cornerback. The Jaguars, I think, are going to feel comfortable with a lot of the cornerbacks available to them in the first round, and I do think that they're going to go cornerback at 19, landing Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. I think he is the most pure press man corner in this draft. He has tons of experience running press man, press bail, off man, off zone coverage. He can do it all. He has length. You know, Baalke loves the long arms. I think he will test very well. Not elite, but very well. He's smart. He can be physical. He can be aggressive. He can be patient. He is a good run defender. He is a good tackler. I think Quinyon Mitchell Terrion Arnold, Nate Wiggins are probably all gone. I think the Jaguars are okay with that because I think Balky might value Kool-Aid over all of them anyways. Again, with the length, with the history running press man, with his pedigree, a former 5-star recruit. I think that right now I have Kool-Aid ahead of those guys too. If the testing ends up being, massively in favor of some of those other guys, maybe it gets a little bit closer for me. But I do have Kool-Aid as the top corner in this class, especially for a team that wants to run press man coverage. So yeah, I think that could be how it ends up playing out. And again, all these mock drafts we run, they're different possibilities for the Jaguars. We try to take all the information that's available to us and plug in different situations, different things that could happen, different potential outcomes. So this isn't absolutely what's going to happen. This is just some things I think, based on what we've seen, could happen. And now at 48 overall, wide receiver, I think the Jaguars are going to bring back Calvin Ridley. I think they'll probably retain Zay Jones. Maybe not with Zay Jones. They do save some cash by moving on. And he is going into the final year of his deal with the team. But Christian Kirk is going to be around. I think Evan Ingram's going to be around as well. I still think the Jaguars, long-term and short-term, could use another receiver. Wide receiver, Jalen Polk out of Washington is someone I think Trent Baalke is really going to value. I think he's going to have a very good week at the combine. Not going to be like an elite speedster, but he's going to show good athleticism in most of the testing drills. He's got enough speed and athleticism, but also the size, the ability to get contested catches. Came down with over 50% of his contested targets throughout his career. Does not let the ball hit the ground often. Has reliable hands. Can be a 3-level threat, but also a chain mover. I think he's a great fit for the Jacksonville Jaguars and the type of player that Trent Baalke will value out of Washington. At 83 overall, defensive lineman DeWayne Carter from Duke. This is the pick from the Rams. This is a player that was born with physicality, with toughness. Trent Baalke talked about that yesterday. In my opinion, threw himself under the bus a little bit, saying, you don't really coach that or teach that or mold that. You're really born with it or you're not born with it. And I think DeWayne Carter is born with it, with this physicality, this toughness, maybe the physicality and toughness that not everyone that Baalke has drafted on the defensive or offensive line has. But after a guy like Byron Murphy, after a guy like Johnny Newton, I think those two are the clear top defensive linemen in this class. I think he might have the most balanced skill set in DeWayne Carter, a guy that can absolutely play tough, play physical, stout run defense, but he can also penetrate, get into the backfield, use his short area explosiveness. He weaponizes his hands really well, has a variety of hand moves and pass rush moves, again, to be able to create penetration and get in the backfield. He has the length that Trent Baalke requires on the interior. I don't think Johnny Newton or Byron Murphy are going to have 33-inch arms. DeWayne Carter already went to the Senior Bowl and does have 33-inch arms. So I think that he kind of fits the mold, and I have a second-round grade on him. So landing him in the third round there, I think would be a nice move for Trent Baalke. At 96 overall, going inside on the offensive line, Christian Haynes out of UConn. Like Carter, he was born with that physicality, with that toughness. He has length, he has powerful hands, a strong anchor, can mirror movements, can get nasty in the run game. I think he's a perfect fit, and whether he is being plugged in to start at left guard in year one or kind of be a swing interior offensive lineman for the Jaguars in year one, he will eventually be a longtime starter in this league, and I really like the physicality and just the toughness he plays with. At 115 overall, cornerback, another corner. Trent Baalke talked about he loves this class of corners from top to bottom. He thinks there's really good high-end talent and really good depth throughout. Jarrian Jones out of Florida State. He is a badass nickel corner who I think can play outside as well. He is physical, aggressive, has ball skills. He's a good pursuit player, a good run defender. Again, very aggressive both in coverage and rolling downhill against the run. He fits the mold of what they need in this defense at nickel. I think Baalke, again, will want at least two corners in this draft. So Jarrian Jones out of Florida State to me makes a lot of sense. At 117, there's a lot of different directions the Jaguars can start going now that they've kind of addressed a lot of their needs. I have them going edge Nelson Caesar out of Houston. He has a bag of pass rush moves, has a spin move, can win around the edge, can come back inside with the counters. He has the size you're looking for. At 260 pounds, he's not one of these super light edge rushers. The length that Baalke requires, over 33-inch arms, showed out a little bit at the Senior Bowl. Super productive at Houston. I think if he's competing to be your third or fourth edge and come in and generate pass rush, you're in a lot better shape than you were in 2023. at 195 overall. Linebacker Tyron Hopper out of Mizzou. It cannot be a Trent Baalke draft without him going off-ball linebacker, right? I actually like this pick, though. Even though the Jaguars have way overspent on off-ball linebackers, both in the draft and free agency. Hopper, at this point in the draft, he's not a perfect prospect, right? But he is aggressive, he's fast, he's athletic. As a guy that can come downhill and make plays, which is exactly what he did at Missouri, I do think it makes sense in this defense, especially with Ryan Nielsen coming in and wanting guys that can fire downhill, play fast, play aggressive, and go find the football behind the line of scrimmage. I think Tyron Hopper can do that for you. And then at 211, running back Kamani Vidal out of Troy. I had to get a running back. It is not a Trent Baalke draft without a linebacker and a running back. Kamani Vidal, though, he reminds me of a more juiced up James Robinson a bit pre-injury. I think that he's a great fit. He has great contact balance, low center of gravity, but I think he's going to have a little bit more juice, run a little bit faster than James Robinson was able to. I think James Robinson was in the 4.6 range. I think Kamani Vidal could edge that out and be a guy that maybe can end up having a little bit better relative athletic score, a guy that runs in the 4.5s. We'll see how it plays out, but I thought he had a great week at the Senior Bowl, tremendously productive at Troy, so he would be a good get for me. At 234, kicker Will Reichert, close it out with a kicker here. I do not think Brandon McManus is back. I think Doug Peterson was pissed about some of those misses late down the stretch last year. You brought back Riley Patterson. I think Will Reichert is going to push to start. He has a bigger leg than Patterson. He was very accurate last year, 5 of 5 from 50-plus yards, and a guy that knows how to get it into the back of the end zone on kickoffs. So I think the Jaguars will certainly like that. But that'll do it here for this 7-round pre-combine Jacksonville Jaguars mock draft. Took a little bit of what we heard from Trent Baalke yesterday, took a little bit of what we've seen throughout this offseason so far, tried to apply it to this mock draft. And again, this isn't me saying this is what's going to happen, stamp it, right? This is just another potential outcome for the Jaguars with this 2024 NFL draft. It's Wednesday, February 28th. We've got just about 2 months until the NFL draft kicks off in late April. So again, really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out ginjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. Y'all have a good one.